Hello, my name is Barbara Nixon and welcome to another episode of Lessons from Leaders. Now today I'm really excited to be talking to Lisa Avins. Now Lisa is a Learning and Development Manager for Ilke Homes. She's been a leader for around 7 years and finds it a fascinating and exciting journey each and every day. She enjoys delving into the motivations and drivers of people to help her support and grow their careers. Now, she recently gained an MSc in psychology to grow her knowledge of people and give her more tools to lead and develop through the power of conversation. Her leadership journey has led her to meet the most amazing people, and she's excited to see where her leadership journey continues to take her. Now, I'm looking forward to sharing this conversation with you, so let's dive in. Hello, Lisa.
Hi.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'm really excited that you're here to have a bit of a chat about leadership. So again, I'm just tangled up here. So if just to kick us off, can you just tell us a bit about your journey, what you do, and how you got to where you are today?
So I'm currently the Learning and Development Manager for a company called Ilke Homes, and they're a modular home building company. In short, they build houses in factories, and they've been active for 17 months now. So I went into a position where there was no L&D. And L&D is my passion. It's what I love doing. It's what I enjoy doing because people are the most fascinating resources that you can use and work with. My journey started about 7 years ago into leadership after working within the L&D function within British Gas for quite a while and getting that bug for coaching people and mentoring people and seeing them grow. And that was then built upon in terms of, okay, if I can do that in small amounts, if I can do that because it's a passion and I'm not in leadership, what would happen if I moved into leadership? So I took a massive kind of leap of faith and went into a company called Pure Gym and set up their learning and development function. And it's kind of made me realise after reflecting on my leadership journey in terms of, okay, people link leadership to people. So to be a good leader, I have to have a team of people who report into me. And actually, my journey didn't start like that. Mine started by growing a department with no people reporting into me. So I had to build those relationships with stakeholders, with CEOs, with senior managers to show them what L&D could do for them. So I had to lead that whole relationship without having the people reporting into me and being that traditional leader as I see it. So that was 7 years ago, and one of the things I've always been really passionate about is getting a lot of experience in a lot of different places. So Pure Gym was the health and fitness industry, and then I moved into a purely management development role within Step Change Activity. And at that point, I had a team who were already established, already there, so it was the new boss coming into the role. And one of the team had actually applied for the role that I was in. Right. So it's interesting as a leader, because it's always that unknown territory of, well, why are you better than me? And I think my journey has taught me that honesty is the best place to be in as a leader, and that if you really want to be a true leader and enjoy that journey as much as possible, you've got to be honest. So that was an element of massive growth for me, massive learning, because it was a leadership journey that was like a roller coaster, up and down, because it was a place of massive change. And it taught me that even though leadership can start with not having a team around you and actually gaining buy-in from the wider business, that having that team around you can grow you as a leader. So it's about having those people who are as passionate as you are and are on the same journey as you are, but are just looking for that little bit of guidance. So you're kind of the train driver with the train behind you going, come on, all right, we'll enjoy this, we'll be fine. And then it kind of hit me that I did enjoy that leadership challenge of setting up a function from scratch, bringing people on board with me and doing it from a wider remit rather than just being a manager within a team. So I moved then into Ilke Homes, which is where I am now, and started again from scratch, being given a blank canvas to say, here you go, set up an L&D function, build a team, build a building to training, which is absolutely fantastic. So yeah.
You're the L&D manager there, are you?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a fantastic journey. But one thing that, just to double back on what you've said that really kind of hit home, was about your belief as a leader of what a leader is, that you have to have a team to be a leader. And I think it's such a common misconception, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, leadership starts with you.
Yeah, it does. And it's about building on kind of that standing around you and gaining that influence and having those negotiating skills. And it's not always about having that title. Some people think it's about having that seniority title. So in Purgin, when I felt I was on the start of my leadership journey, I didn't have manager in my title. I was a learning and development specialist. And to me, that meant the same thing. I'm here because I specialise in an element of the business. And if I'm going to lead that specialism, I need to create that buy-in. I need to have the influencing conversations, and I need to have that from the top down. So I think that the massive misconception is I've got a team around me that I delegate to. You've got a whole business around you as a true leader that you really need to utilise.
I completely agree. And I was the same when I started my leadership journey. I didn't have manager in my title. And it was very much just a decision, a mindset shift.
Yeah.
Actually, this is, I can lead, I am leading now, and this is what it looks like for me. So do you remember a time where you did have that mindset shift of this is me, I'm now a leader?
I think it's a really strange one, that, because you kind of look as a leader, and there's often times when you shock yourself and go, oh yeah, that felt like I was leading that. I feel like a leader now. And then other times when you go, I'm winning this.
Yeah.
It's kind of going okay. And I think imposter syndrome is such a massive thing for leaders, because you absolutely sit there sometimes and go, I don't know why I'm doing this. Somebody's going to come along in a minute and go, come on, off you go. You're not right for this. And then there's other times where you go, actually, I'm really good at this. I think one of the defining things was at Step Change, and that was going through a massive restructure. And there was a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of new people coming in. And I think as a leader, you've got to kind of stand up and push your own thoughts and feelings to the background and go, okay, how can I support you? What do you need from me? And on the day that I announced that I was leaving and I'd got a new role, I had a couple of people who were in a separate element to the L&D team. So I didn't manage them, I didn't coach them, I didn't mentor them, who came and said, move over to our team, lead us, we want to have what you've given your team and we don't want you to leave. And I kind of thought, oh, okay, if people can see that from afar, it means you're exuding that, it means you're absolutely putting that out there. And it's not through a process, it's not through a defined, I'm on step 1 of the leadership journey, I'm on step 3. It's doing what comes naturally. And not everybody has that. Sometimes just being with people and having a conversation really exudes those leadership qualities. So that's probably the one moment I could pick on, but most of the time, no. It's just a daily thing where you go home and go, it's been a good day today. I've had conversations today. It's been all right.
It feels good today, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's a few things there that I do want to pick up on. One, imposter syndrome. Yeah, absolutely right. It's just, and it affects everybody. We've all at some point or another had those moments of doubt where we've gone, oh, do I actually know what I'm doing? And how did I get here? And who am I to be saying this or teaching this or leading this or whatever it might be? And somebody at some point is going to be knocking on my door and saying, time's up, come on. Yeah. But so it's something that we all need to be talking about. So do you find that it helps when you discuss it, or do you just try and keep any kind of imposter tendencies to yourself?
No, I think it's important to put it out there because I think it's healthy.
Yeah, I agree.
If you don't have that imposter syndrome, you're going to become complacent because there's nobody in any role that knows anything. And the second you become comfortable, you need to find a new challenge or you need to find something new to do. You've always got to have that little bit of an edge of, God, I'm sat in this meeting, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm going to go away and I'm going to look that up. I've moved into an industry that is completely new to me, where we're talking about engineering and design drawings and flow processes and everything else. And I sit in meetings and I smile and I have a pad and a pen and I take away keywords and go, right, what does that mean? So the next time I'm in that meeting, I can go, right, okay, this is how I can support that. This is how it links into my world. And I was talking to one of my key stakeholders, the operations director, about imposter syndrome, because he came to me in my capacity as a leader and said, am I good enough to be here? Okay, talk to me about that. Talk to me why you're feeling that. Explain where that's come from. Well, I sometimes look at this business and think, oh God, I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, this guy's from Hitachi, had one of the key positions in Hitachi, and if somebody in that level can have imposter syndrome, it kind of is that reassurance of it's healthy, really healthy.
Oh, it absolutely is, and I completely agree. It's something that we should be talking about. Because once you talk about it, it comes out from the shadows, doesn't it? And everybody goes, I've got that too. I deal with that. And oh yeah, well, how do you get over it? And this is how I deal with it. But one thing that you said right at the very beginning was about honesty being important. And, you know, being in those meetings when you haven't got a clue, or you're thinking, this is just going over my head. I was just saying, hang on a minute, you know, what are you talking about? I don't get it today. I don't understand, and that's okay too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it gives you a lot more buy-in as a leader, because I think 9 times out of 10 when you're in a leadership position, number one, other people look upon you as being the expert and knowing everything, and number two, you have expectations on yourself to know absolutely everything. And it doesn't happen, because we are in such a fast-paced growing world. Especially in my industry within learning and development, it moves so quickly. You can't actually be expected to know everything. And isn't that the joy of being in a leadership position and showing people that actually I can still learn too. I don't know everything. I'm still learning, so teach me. And to me, that's one of the best ways of building relationships. Teach me what you know, give me that knowledge, because it also gives other people that gravitas to go, okay, I'll tell you what I know. So it's a great relationship builder.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think as well, something that you said was about being, you know, not I can put my teeth back in, knowing that you don't have to have all the answers, but that expectation on yourself that sometimes you feel as though you should.
Yeah.
So how do you think that you get over that expectation of just going easy on yourself, you know, and just thinking, actually, I don't need to have all the answers, and just because I'm the boss doesn't mean to say all of a sudden I'm the oracle, you know. So
I think that's been kind of one of the light bulb moments of my journey. You as a leader and it comes with title where it's manager. Sorry, the rain's really loud on my consumption. I'll just close that. I think for me, it was one of those things of when I had manager in my title for the first time, it was that, okay, so now I need to show that I can manage. And you forget that being a manager is completely different to being a leader. And I fell into that bank for a little while of managing.
Yes.
You need to do what I say, and you need to give me respect because I am the manager. And then you put so much pressure on yourself because you will always be asked that question, or be asked to be part of a project or deliver on something where you go, I'm not sure I know how to do this. And my light bulb moment came where I moved more into leadership, when I found that actually it's okay, because you're not there to provide answers.
No.
You're there to work out solutions. You're there to use your creativity to say, okay, what if we did this? Okay, I need to utilize the skills around me. You're not the only skill within that space. You can use everything around you to formulate something that's really good. And I think you kind of, I know I made that shift from solutionizing to actually problem solving, which I think is a completely different field.
Completely different field. Yeah, I mean, something that I talk about a lot is that it's not all your job. Yeah, and I think it is a trap. And again, a lot of people fall into it of thinking, actually, I need to fix everything. I need to be everything. I need to be everything to, you know, to all people, rather than, right, what do I need to do to solve this collaboratively, you know, as a team. Yeah. So again, there's so much good stuff here already, which is fab. So, but you mentioned again the the difference, or that leadership is very different to management. And that's an ongoing debate, isn't it? Every man and his dog has contributed to that one. But just so we don't feel left out, what do you think then is the difference for you?
For me, I think the difference is recognising that there's room for both, and that there are times when you need to be in that management role, and there's times when you need to be in that leadership role. And what we get too much is we want leaders, we don't want managers, when actually you need to do a little bit of both. And I think managing falls into it when you are building a new team, and you are there because you are more directive. You've got to say, this is how we do it, this is the way we need to do it, this is how we need to push it forward. Because then the leadership skills come when you're trying to inspire them to do it the way it needs to be. So that there is a spectrum for both. However, it's a 70-30 split for me. You should spend 70% of your time leading and being a good leader, and 30% of your time managing it, because management is about the process. It's about how we do things. It's not about why we do things. It's not about the drive behind it. And I think there needs to be a little bit more recognition of, let's have a little bit of both.
Yeah, no, I get that. Because for me, it's about, I agree with all of that, and I absolutely think that there's a need for both, but you don't have to be, as we've already discussed, you don't have to have a manager in your title, or even a team to class yourself a leader. It's not something on high that you aspire to, or that just people in the corner office, or your Richard Bransons of the world are. It is for everybody. It's something for everybody. It's that mindset shift. So let's talk about mindset a little bit.
Okay.
We've talked about imposter syndrome a bit, but what other mindset shifts or blocks do you think that leaders experience?
I think there's a balance that you kind of miss, or some leaders do miss. And I've kind of moved away from it over the past couple of years in terms of, okay, what's important in leadership? How do I need to change how I think? I think when I first went into leadership, if I'm quite honest, it was a laptop and I get emails, and I have to sit there and do my emails, and if an email comes in, I need to answer it straight away. So it was not about building relationships. I felt like I was building relationships because I was answering important emails, and I felt quite important. But actually, that mindset shift has come now of, if you go out to the kitchen and have a 15-minute conversation with somebody whilst you're making a cup of coffee, that's much more impactful and much better for relationships than answering those emails immediately. So one of the things I do straight away when I go into work is go straight into the kitchen. And whoever's in there is strike up a conversation with them, even if it starts off as something simple of, what did you do last night? Because it always leads on to something bigger, and people fascinate me, and talking to people fascinate me. And I've got an odd little trait that I think every leader should try, and it embarrasses the life out of my daughter when we're in a lift together. I make a point when I'm in a lift of talking to one person in that lift.
I do that too.
Even if it's just saying hello, even if it's just mentioning the weather, even if it's doing something, because it's such a key skill to have. And I think the mindset shift of thinking, it's okay to step away from this box in front of you, because that's not where the magic happens. And it's okay to have a conversation. I used to look at people chatting, and I used to kind of think to myself, God, they never do any work. I'm really lazy. I'm tip-topping away, and I'm producing this and producing that. They're probably more productive than me and probably getting more done than me. Because it is about having that confidence to say, actually, I'm closing this up, and I've seen your email pop through, but I'm going to come and have a coffee with you, and I'm going to talk to you about it. So I think that was a massive mindset shift from me in terms of using what I had around me, and in terms of feeling like I was productive, because talking to people shouldn't always feel like you're being productive. You should be shackled, and that's something that we kind of need to break away from.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. And I think it is having that confidence to redefine productivity, isn't it? And actually, what value am I getting from this email, as opposed to really having this conversation with that person and building those relationships. And it's funny you should say that about the lift. I do that on trains all the time. I'm forever chatting to strangers on trains. I've met some amazing people. And it's a great way of practicing those skills that are your foundational skills, really. You're listening, looking at body language, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And just asking some really good questions.
Yeah.
So would you say that was one of the core skills for you then, building relationships?
Yeah, absolutely was. And I think defining what those relationships need to be, because as much as I've said having that conversation is really useful, if you have a conversation for 20 minutes about Game of Thrones, you not really come away with anything. It's got to be built upon. You've got to have a little bit of an agenda as to why you're building that relationship and what you need to get from it. And also the recognition that that's not actually for everybody. Some people are going to be very uncomfortable if you accost them in a kitchen and start talking to them, because it's not their style. And I think as a leader, you've got to recognise that, and you've got to adapt your style as much as you possibly can to be able to build those relationships. But it does start with a conversation, because you can't find out about anybody until you've had that initial conversation.
And it is okay to chat just about anything. So it might not be a 20-minute conversation about Game of Thrones, but certainly throwing it in there and having that natter about it is all good. Is still good for that relationship.
Yeah.
What do you think are the other core skills then?
Delegation for me, I think, is a massive core skill, and I think delegation can be used incorrectly by leaders. I think we're also time poor. That delegation is about taking your task list and going, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do the other? That's off my list now. I need to forget about it. It's not about that. Delegation for me is about utilising that team around you, and it can help you find out those strengths and weaknesses. Like you said earlier, you've got people around you, you've got skills around you that you can use, and as a leader, delegation helps you recognise that. And I think leaders don't use delegation effectively enough because of the time aspects, because sometimes with delegation, it's about explaining what needs to happen, it's about giving the aim and objectives, it's then about coaching, and it's then about giving feedback in the correct way. It's not about thinking, oh God, they've done it once. It'd have been easier to do it myself. No, what was the reason behind that? Because actually delegation means that you have to take a little bit of time to ease it up later on, because when you ask them to do that again later on, and you've put the time in and you've coached and you've fed back and you've mentored them, but it's that engagement piece of them going, I've learned something new, she trusts me with this, you know, I'm trusted. So for me, that's a massive key skill that we don't always get right.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I think if I had £1 for every time somebody said to me, it's quicker if I do it myself, you know, I'd be off on a desert island somewhere.
We won't be in this.
And to be honest, it's true, isn't it? My phone's ringing. It's true that that it is quicker if you do it yourself. Of course it's quicker if you do it. You've been doing it forever and a day. It's going to be quicker. But then you're always going to be doing it quicker yourself.
And your day is going to get longer and longer and longer, because everything else you'll do yourself.
And is it a good use of your time and your brain power? Is this within your superpower to be doing this? The other way that I think of delegation is actually you're robbing other people of that development. You know, delegation, and I think back to my career, when somebody delegated to me, it was a great way to develop and just to learn something else and a new skill. And yes, you do feel trusted, but you also feel really empowered, and you know, it's good to share out your workload.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's about that questioning aspect. So the team that I've got, I'm just pretend this line. The team that I brought on board at Ilke have all come from the factory floor, so the kitchen fitters and joiners, and would never even have attempted to enter L&D. And I approached them about the roles after observing and after being out there, and I asked one of them the other week, would you have applied for this facilitator role? And he went, oh God, no, I never thought I could do this. And that's when I can't just bring them into my team and then go, just carry on doing what you've always done. Just go out there and do what you've always done. Actually, you've got to give them that responsibility. And one of the key questions I always ask them when I say, well, how would you like me to do it? How would you like to do it? What works for you? Because then it gives them that guidance piece, because it's a frightening world for them. It's much easier for them to me say, do A, B, C, and then D. Well, actually, you want to start with D, go on then. Give it a try. Because if it doesn't work out, that's absolutely fine. And we'll sit and we'll discuss why it didn't work out and what could have been better last time. And I always describe our business at the moment as being a toddler, because it's finding its feet, it's walking, but it's dropping things and it's stumbling over and it's grazing its knee and getting back up. And that's where my team is at the moment. But with a toddler, you wouldn't kind of say, no, don't stand up, sit down, don't move. You let them do that because that's how we learn, and that's where my team are at the moment. And you can't do that without delegating properly to them.
No. But what an exciting place to be, because a lot of the time, especially in L&D, we go into maybe established places, but it's really lovely for you to be in that toddler experience and allow other people to have the opportunity and entry point to L&D that might not ever consider it.
Yeah.
So it sounds fantastic.
Exciting.
It is exciting. It is
unbelievable. And we've got these guys who have got those skills to build things. They're firmly involved in the project of building the Ilke Academy. So the kitchen that's being put in, they've built that, and the pride and the engagement that comes from that, you can't bottle it. And I'm so fortunate that I'm in a business that can do that, because you don't get that anywhere else. Like I said to my team, that's CV changing stuff, is that? It really is.
Yeah, no, it sounds fantastic. Right then, so I do want to kind of just change tack a little bit and do some quick fire questions, and let's find out a little bit more about you.
Okay.
It's fun, really. So what do you do to switch off?
This has been a really hard one for me, and I've only just recently kind of found that it's okay to switch off. Because I was constantly, must be thinking about something, I must be doing something. If I'm not busy, it means I'm being lazy. And I've recently bought a camera, and I'm trying to take up photography. Say photography in the loosest of terms, which is fine. But I'm finding at the moment it's writing down things. It's sitting. So for what you and I do now, I sat with a pad, and I made bullet points, and I made notes. And some of the thoughts that came to me and some of the ideas, I was like, oh my God, we can use this at work, we can do that, because I was able to just sit in a quiet room and switch off. And one of the massive things that I think is driven me more towards being a good inspirational leader is looking after your own well-being.
Yes.
So at work now, 3 times a week within my lunchtime, I go running.
Oh dear, well done.
I'm really fortunate. I work up by Knaresborough, North Yorkshire, in a big factory, and we've got woods behind us. So I'm really fortunate to be able to put my gym kit on and do it. And I am more productive in that afternoon than I ever would be if I'm just sat constantly in front of the screen or not leaving the building. And it's something that I've impressed on my team. And I'm on holiday this week, but they sent me photographs today of those guys out in the woods training.
Oh, awesome.
And because what we do is we fall into that trap sometimes of going, we need to do more, but we're so time poor. We have got the time. It's just about reevaluating a little bit. And I think any good leader should impress that upon their team. It's not something you can do 5 days a week. There's always prioritisation to be done. But I'm really proud that my team feel comfortable enough to go out and do that.
Yeah.
Because it starts with you doing it. So switching off is still an ongoing project of mine, but it's getting there, and it's really important.
Yeah. Oh, so important. And as we've already discussed, you've got to lead yourself first, because you've got to be mindful of the message you're sending out to people around you, whether they're your team or just your family and friends, of what a leader or what you look like, what are the habits that you're putting out into the world, like missing lunch or not switching off or checking your phone all the time, or whatever it might be that's your tipple, if you like. That's what you're sending out, and that's where we get this culture from. Okay, so you're switching off. Are you a runner? So you say, is this a new thing?
I use it in the loosest of terms. I can run. I prefer, I've started weightlifting and doing weights at the gym for that side of things. So as a team, we've signed up to do Total Warrior at Bramham Park in June. So we're all training towards that as well. So I prefer the more obstacle-based things than just pure running.
Yeah. All right, then what about what do you do? What does your morning routine look like? Because I know you've got kids as well, so I'm always interested in this illusion of balance, really, that we've all got in our heads. What does it look like for you in the morning?
So Neve, my 3-year-old, is literally 6 o'clock on the dot awake, regardless. So my husband works for Openreach, so he needs taken to his van. So I'm fortunate enough to have a 17-year-old as well who can look after Neve while I take Howard out to go and get his van. And then when I come back, coffee pot's already on, husband's already made a coffee. I bring all of my makeup and bits and bats down to the kitchen table so that I can do breakfast as I'm getting ready. Neve will sit and eat her breakfast, and I will hold my hands up and say, CBeebies helped me a lot in the morning.
Yes.
A lot in the morning. So she'll sit and eat breakfast while she is. I'm getting ready, and she'll get dressed, and it normally takes us about an hour. But I, in the kitchen, have on Absolute Radio, the breakfast show, because I know there's certain features on there that I should have done certain things by. So it's like a little bit of a time check. Then we will set off to nursery at around 10 to 8, and luckily the nursery is on the way to the college. So I can drop Neve into nursery, then drop Charlie at college, and then off onto the motorway.
Yeah. Fantastic. You sound like you've got it all figured out in the mornings.
It's got to be.
I know. Yeah, I think you've got a 3-year-old, so it's a bit more demanding. But yeah, my youngest is 11, so it's not as bad as what it once was. But I remember those 6 o'clock starts. I'm not a morning person, so they were painful for me. So I kind of readjusted and trained my kids to sleep in. After the holidays, it was awesome. When it was school holidays, that was it. Yeah, we were all dead to the world till about 10.
Oh, nice. No, these definitely, regardless. We've even done the, let's put her to bed later, she'll get up later. No, she's just grumpy all day.
Yeah. No. Okay, right, last question then. I ask everybody this, what book have you got that you'd gladly recommend, or a book that you gift to people that has been, it means something to you, and it's given something to you that you'd like to share to everybody else? So have you got a book?
So many years ago, before I even started my leadership journey, I read Way to the Giant by Tony Robbins, and it was a big leadership book, and I thought, you know what, that's the one for me, I'm going to read it. And I read it cover to cover, and I went, okay, that's fine. Didn't take anything from it, nothing really resonated, but I felt good because I'd read something about leadership and management. Really want to go down. And I revisited that book about a month, no more than 2 months ago, because I recommended it to somebody else who said, I just want to start out in leadership. And then I thought, why have I recommended something that actually I got nothing from? Okay, let's give it another go. And I think because of the journey I've been on, and knowing how important it is to start with your own mindset, so to be that inspirational leader, I read it and went, wow, okay. And I changed some of my practices in terms of setting goals, in terms of it being about the whole piece, so emotional, self, your business side of things, even your finances. It kind of does that well-rounded piece of work. I think you can only get that through going through that leadership journey. And I've now recommended it to 2 further people who've come back and gone, well, actually, didn't enjoy chapter 5, but chapter 7, that spoke to me, that was great. So I think it's one that I'd recommend to read a couple of times. Read it first, go on your journey and revisit it again, because it says something entirely different.
It's a really good book, and we'll put the link underneath this video for people to grab a copy. But it's interesting, isn't it, reading books again? Because this year I set a resolution, if you like, of going through all of my books that I've got, and I'm a huge reader, self-development, management, leadership books, that kind of thing, and reading them again. And what you've just said is so true, that you get something completely different the next time round, things that you didn't even spot, you skimmed over, it wasn't important to you, all of a sudden speak to you. So it's well worth just reading anything leave it a couple of months and then reading it again.
I think we sometimes fall into the danger, because we've either listened to a podcast or we've read something, of trying something that doesn't fit us very well. We go for, especially, podcasts are the big thing now, and there's so many. And I was thinking about our conversation today and thought, you know what? I don't actually listen to many podcasts because I don't know what to listen to. Because there's so many, and you end up scrolling through and going, oh my God. So I'm actually going to get onto LinkedIn, which is one of my best resources. I love that place. I'm going to get onto LinkedIn and say, okay, recommendations, because you want to know kind of what's worked for other people. But I think then there's also that trick of, well, this podcast said this, so I'm going to try something new. And people look at you like you've gone to the edge because it's not you. And it's just that trial and error where with The Awakening of the Giant, it was about that whole thing. And because it's such a chunky, meaty book to read, a couple of the chapters I was like, that's not for me. That wouldn't work, but other things wouldn't. And it is that trial and error.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Right, Lisa, I will let you go. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I've absolutely loved it. It's really nice to talk to a fellow L&D person. And nice to catch up as well, because it's been a while.
It has.
So thank you so much. Are you open to people connecting with you on LinkedIn? And
absolutely.
Yeah, right. So I'll put your profile login ID thingy bob underneath this, so people can connect with you if they want to. But thank you so much.
Thank you. See you soon.